Let us take a pre survey before we start our talk. This is about the pricing of Molnupiravir, an oral anti COVID drug, at $700 for a 5 day course of treatment. You were having COVID symptoms for 3 days and finally decided on the fourth day to go to the nearest urgent care clinic where you tested positive. You were given a prescription for Molnupiravir for 5 days and you need to start taking it without delay because if you delay it, if you get sicker and hospitalized, it is not effective. It will cost you $700 out of pocket. Then it came to your mind that there are three other people at your home and they also need to be tested. Which one describes your reaction best? Choose one. Hi, I'm Dr. Digoma. Today we have a timely topic to talk about the $700 pricing of Molnupiravir. This experimental oral drug for COVID is not yet approved, but if and when it does get emergency use authorization that Merck already applied for, it will cost you $700 for a 5 day course of treatment. It seems extraordinarily high, considering the estimated cost to mass produce it with a 10% profit is estimated to be as low as $4.35 for the same 5 day course. And considering its discovery and development were funded by millions of taxpayers' dollars from 2013 to 2020. But we still don't know yet how effective and how safe molnupiravir is until the clinical trial data is made public, until it's published and peer-reviewed. But if it turns out to be safe and effective, when the benefits far outweigh the risk, many millions, mostly the unvaccinated, will need it. The time to protest the $700 pricing of molnupiravir in the US is before the drug is approved, not when you're already paying for it at your drugstore because you have COVID and you're unvaccinated. Watch the entire video, and if it spurs you into action, share it with four others that you know. Okay, let's talk more about it. October 2021. What do you see in this slide? I see sorrow, pain, and suffering. I see stress and impending disaster. But I also see hope and solutions. Ending the pandemic is everybody's business, and everyone has a role to play. This is where we are, our reality. For those who still believe that COVID 19 is not real or not dangerous, it's real and it's dangerous. The virus already killed over 700,000 Americans, and it's not done yet. More Americans perish than in the First and Second World War combined. Everyone is suffering. No one is spared, some more than others. We are all confined, like Uncle Sam locked in a steel cage. There is an economic disaster brewing. We all feel it. 70 million eligible Americans are still unvaccinated. And vaccinated Americans have a choice of three effective and safe vaccines that millions and millions have already received here and abroad. They are free. No, there is no nanochip in it. The tracking nanochip, some are fearful, has yet to be invented. This tracking device in the James Bond movie is fake, not real. We have the power to unlock this cage. There is one golden key that we know works, and maybe a second one. We're not sure yet. The first key, millions more Americans need to acquire immunity, either by getting infected and surviving or getting vaccinated. Let us look at vaccinations by country according to the New York Times. United Arab Emirates, 99%. Portugal, 88%. Cuba, 87%. Singapore, 83%. The United States, 67%. Turkey, 66%. El Salvador, 67%. So the United States is in that group. How did that happen? It does not matter how you get your immunity in the end, but it does if you want to end the pandemic and stop the dying sooner. It depends on the personal decision that you make on how best to keep yourself and your family safe based on the most credible information that you can get. The virus does not care about your vaccination status, your political affiliation, your belief system. The Delta variant is determined to infect everyone, vaccinated and unvaccinated. If you let your guard down even just for a moment, it will get you. The difference is the unvaccinated is much more likely to be hospitalized and to die. Possible second key: whereas the vaccine creates neutralizing antibodies that kill the virus before it can enter your cells, molnupiravir works only when the virus is already inside your cells after you get infected. Right now, we have a two-pronged approach for COVID. The primary approach is vaccination. It's still the best way, the safest way, and the most economic way. The secondary approach is when a person who is at high risk gets infected, vaccinated or not, and develop mild to moderate symptoms. Right now, the proven effective treatment for such cases is monoclonal antibody infusion, but it's not a pill. It is given by intravenous infusion or several subcutaneous injections, and it's not widely available quickly. An effective and safe oral antiviral drug is what we need to fill this gap. Is this pill Molnupiravir? We don't know that yet until the clinical trial data is published and peer reviewed. Is $700 a fair price? Why did Richback's Wendy and Wayne Holman and Merck decide the price of Molnupiravir at $700 for the US at the time of the pandemic? Even if it cost only $4.35 to produce, and the research, creation, and discovery were funded by the US taxpayers. Is this another example of corporate greed sucking the life out of ordinary people? Let's listen to Dr. Rick Kelly. I encourage you to watch Dr. Kelly's video in its entirety in the link in the description below.
Hello, I'm Dr. Rick Kelly. You've probably heard of a new wonder drug that many are touting as a cure for COVID. Well, I'm not going to discuss the usefulness or whether or not it's simply a glorified Tamiflu, but I do want to tell you what I've found out about how we got this drug. Let's go back to January of 2020. That's when, according to Bloomberg Businessweek, the president of Emory University Institute for Drug Development met with Wendy Holman, CEO of Ridgeback Biotherapeutics. This company, which, according to the Washington Post, had no laboratories, no manufacturing facility of its own, and a minimal track record when it struck a deal to license a coronavirus drug invented by university researchers with $16 million in grants from U.S. taxpayers. Still reading from the Post. But what the tiny Miami company did have was a growing team with experience in pharmaceutical development and research, and a willingness from its wealthy owners, Chief Executive Wendy Holman and her husband, hedge fund manager Wayne Holman, to place a bet on the treatment in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. Fast forward to June 9, 2021, when Merck announced an agreement with the U.S. government to provide 1.7 million courses of Molnupiravir at $712 per course. So, researchers at Emory University, with a funding grant of around 16 million U.S. taxpayer dollars, licensed this drug to Ridgeback, a private company. Ridgeback was then able to license and turn a quick profit of an undisclosed amount, plus a share of the potential multi-billion-dollar windfall by making this deal as COVID hit. Now it's estimated that Merck and Ridgeback will reap a profit of $7 billion by the end of the year. Is it legal or moral to price it at $712 to U.S. taxpayers who funded the original R&D on this drug? For me, that reeks of price gouging in the time of a global emergency.
A group from Harvard School of Public Health, King's College Hospital in London, and MIT collaborated to determine the cost to mass-produce Molnupiravir and published their results shortly after Merck's press release. They came out with two estimates for the 5-day course of Molnupiravir treatment. Both estimates already included a 10% profit. The first estimate is from MIT, $4.35 for a 5-day course of Molnupiravir. How is that compared to $700? The second estimate was more generous at $19.99. Still, that's a far cry from $700. Did what you know now change your initial reaction? Let's dig in some more. Are we held hostage? Can something be done about it? Another group from Knowledge Ecology International, a nonprofit, went into action, focusing on the timeline of development, the flow of taxpayer funding over time, and repudiating the claim of Wayne and Wendy Holman of Ridgeback Biotherapeutics that they are the one entirely responsible for the development of Molnupiravir, denying the involvement of taxpayer funding. Here is the timeline. Emory University Drug Discovery Program received an estimated $35 million in research funding, which included the creation, discovery, and extensive laboratory testing in cells and animals of Molnupiravir. January 21, 2020, the first case of COVID confirmed in the US. March 2020, Wayne and Wendy Holman secured exclusive rights for Molnupiravir. How did that happen? 2 months later, the Holmans have a partnership with Merck. 18 months later, Merck announced that they have appealed for COVID and then applied for emergency use authorization. This is where we are now, waiting. According to Knowledge Ecology International, we are not held hostage, that the US government retains its patent rights on Molnupiravir. What went wrong here, if any? George Painter, President and CEO of Emory Drug Development, and Wendy Painter, Chief Medical Officer of Ridgeback Biotherapeutics. Are they related? Should taxpayer-funded drug discovery patent rights be awarded exclusively? To whom? And on what conditions? Are there lessons to be learned here? At a generous $20 per treatment course instead of the $700, the $1.2 billion will treat not 1.7 million sick Americans, but nearly 60 million sick people here and abroad. What do you choose? What is your answer to survey question number 1? Who is responsible, if any, for the $700 initial pricing of Molnupiravir? Emory University for selling or granting exclusive rights to Wendy and hedge fund manager Wayne Holman, Ridgeback Biotherapeutics for the $700 pricing, Merck, the federal government for not negotiating a fair price, none of the above. Together, we can end this pandemic sooner. If you find value in this video, consider subscribing and giving us a like and write your comments below.